All right. What day is it? Oh, Thursday. Yes, happy Thursday, guys. Today, happy Thursday. Yes, today we're shifting gears again, and now we're going to discuss data collection and the various dimensions of behavior that we can track. We're going to start off with discussing why we even bother collecting data to begin with. This is such a critical element in this field, and also looking at the continuous measurements that we can incorporate in our daily sessions. Let's get into it. So this point I've made time and time again, and I'm going to keep making it. Behavior has to be objective and measurable. If we are going to target a particular behavior and either try to increase it or reduce it, kind of like with either the skill acquisition or the behavior reduction plans that we were reviewing within the past couple of weeks, we got to know exactly what it is we are talking about. And in order to do that, we need to remove all sorts of subjectivity to the definitions or the things that we're talking about. So, for instance, this term that agitated. Yeah, agitated. Yes, it can mean many things depending on who you ask. So it would be a lot more helpful for us to really make it as objective and measurable as possible. And here are some of the ways we could do it. We can describe it with these measurable terms. So, for instance, more of a subjective motion where you're kind of telling people how somebody's inner state may be, whether it's they're frustrated, they're not listening. Instead of saying something like that, you could say, yeah, they threw, I was supposed to say, he threw this inside at a volume that's above 3 feet. Yeah, sorry about that. What was I doing? Yes, let's say he threw the towel across the room inside. See, that is something that we can describe, that you can ask anybody who witnessed it and they'll pretty much tell you the exact same thing. So this is, making it about objective as opposed to subjective. You guys are with me so far? Yes. Awesome. And not only are we describing what the individual does, but we also want to do it in the context of the environment. Now, I think more broadly speaking, we can think of the environment as anything outside of the individual, whether or not that is the actual room or the setting that the behavior is taking place in, or it could also involve the various individuals or items or tangibles that are around. Pretty much anything that is outside of the individual can be considered part of the environment and should be also described in objective terms. So for instance, if somebody starts engaging in severe SIB or any other forms of severe escape responses when there's this loud TV, we can say, even with more precision, oh, it was on this setting as opposed to it was simply just loud. Because again, loud can mean very different things to various people depending on who you ask.
Relative.
Yes, exactly. We want to remove all relativity and want to apply things as objective as possible. Yes. So now when we're talking about particular behaviors or responses, we want to be able to use a precise operational definition. And this operational definition is supposed to give you exactly what it is you're looking for, what exactly we're tracking, what we're observing, and again, pretty much everybody has to come in with the agreement of knowing what it is we are looking at. So, to see if the objective or the operational definition passes what we call the measurable and objective test, is whether or not we can take somebody else from, let's say, the other RBT program and see if they're able to track that same behavior. If we're able to agree on it, if it's in objective terms, then we know that we're working with something pretty useful. We're going to get into the anatomy of operational definitions in just an instant, but let me just show you what goes in writing an operational definition. Oh, my volume's off, that's why.
Welcome to the video on writing operational definitions. Operational definitions define a concept on the basis of the specific operations used for measurement. They specify the properties of an observation that are required to assert the presence or absence of the condition. In other words, defining a concept based on how you will measure it. Generally, operational definitions should be objective, clear, and complete. A definition is objective when it refers to observable characteristics of the behavior or to events that can be observed. For example, we might look at the duration that a child falls to the floor, kicks, and screams as an operational definition of a tantrum. A definition is clear when it is unambiguous, so that it could be repeated or paraphrased by an observer or someone unfamiliar with the measure. For example, a tantrum could include any time the child falls to the floor, kicks and screams in response to a comment from his or her mother at the grocery store. A definition is complete when it delineates the boundary conditions that are needed to identify included and excluded responses. For example, not included in a tantrum is a raised voice that is part of an expression of disappointment to a denied request, which lasts less than a minute without the behaviors stated previously. Definitions can be function-based, meaning the responses are identified by their effect on the environment. For example, a dog can be said to have responded to the command, "Go to bed," if he is seated on his bed, no matter if he ran or walked to the location. Definitions can also be topography-based, where responses are identified by the shape or form of the behavior. Topography may be relevant when undesirable forms sometimes produce favorable outcomes. For example, a basketball player's poor form might result in a basket, making it better to define a correct shot by the position and movement of the player. You can test your operational definition by asking 3 questions. Can you count the number of times or the duration the behavior occurs? Yes. Will a stranger know what to look for? Yes. Can you break the response into smaller components? No. Questions? Email.
Yeah, essentially what we were describing earlier. And for our intended purposes, we're going to be primarily looking at the typography or what the behavior looks like, the form, because that is really what we're trying to address through the function. So now that we had that little video explaining the anatomy of the definitions, let's take a look at each of the components separately. So we have the label of the behavior. This is what we usually describe as property destruction, aggression, self-injurious behavior, but sometimes it could be a lot more useful to get even more specific. Because for instance, we may look at a behavior and want to label it, oh, that is inappropriate social behavior. But again, you just ask somebody what that means, and you can get all sorts of different responses. Whereas something such as physical intrusion, operationally defined by an individual getting within somebody and making deliberate contact, can be a little bit more objective. And then same thing with the description. This is really what we're trying to look for. This is the typography. This is what behavior looks like. We want to include some examples of what to look out for if it's not a singular type of response. And of course, we also want to include some non-examples. So then there are things that are ruled out that aren't lumped in together. Because again, when we're talking about various typographies, they can look similar but have different functions. So this is an example here. Yeah, I wouldn't say dropping a spoon or dropping something and accidentally breaking it doesn't really fall into the property destruction label. Okay, so that is what we're working with. Okay, now data collection. Oh, did I move on too fast? All right, sure. Now I'll go back. I'll give you guys. It gives me a chance to get some more water. Okay, we're good to move on. Awesome. Yeah, why does collecting data matter in the grand scheme of things? I think the most important thing is it'll tell us whether or not the plan we have in place or the goals that we're working on, whether it's in the ISP or the BIP, if they're working or not, if they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. If we have a client who is engaging in all sorts of different problem behaviors, we want to make sure we have an objective way of seeing whether or not what we're doing is actually effective. Because if it's not, then we're kind of just wasting our time and could be doing them a huge disservice by not putting in something that's more effective. Also, when there's a sudden change in the type of behavior some individual may engage in, that could be the sign of an underlying medical concern that if we have that data to support, then we can demonstrate this to the proper medical profession to show them, oh yeah, there is this spike in behavior and they may need this different form of treatments that can't be addressed through behavioral intervention. My previous supervisor was telling me of a client he worked with at a care home. And this individual, on a weekly basis, would have this rising spike in emotional outbursts. And it happened somewhat rapidly throughout the week. And then he would have a seizure and it would immediately start dropping back down. And he noted with the medication log and the behavior sheets that there was this perfect correlation between when he was anticipating a seizure and when his aggression and property destruction started occurring. So with that in way, he was able to demonstrate to his doctor, oh, hey, he needs a new seizure medication because this is happening. Just one of the examples here. And also, we want to be sure that the client, when we're working with the clients, of course, we want to develop the rapport and be there for them and all that. But at the end of the day, they're also here in order to grow in their potential and be as much part of the community as possible. I think that's a point that Jan always stresses, that our purpose is for community integration. So if we're not implementing a proper procedure and then trying to collect data as best as we can, then again, we're kind of doing the client a disservice by withholding that. So those are some of the reasons why collecting data really matters. Now we're looking at measurement. So this is the actual act of collecting data. We can divide them into two large camps. We have what is referred to as continuous measurement and then discontinuous measurement. And the most important thing to recognize with continuous is this is when we record every single instance of a behavior occurring within either the session or throughout the day. That is the most important thing to recognize. And it's also going to give us the most accuracy as far as what dimension of behavior we're looking at is concerned. Of course, there are instances where being continuous measurements, constantly looking at the client and monitoring them, may not be the most feasible thing, but we can get into that probably tomorrow. Okay, and we're going to go through the various types of continuous measurement, some of which you guys should already be familiar with. So for instance, frequency. So this is just counting, jotting down the tally. If it happens, yeah, you make the tally mark. Just a very simple act of counting when behavior occurs. And this is more useful when a behavior more or less happens around the same time in each given instance, that there's a clear beginning and end to the behavior. So for instance, if you want to track how often I am hitting the table with my pen 3 times, it's very easy to see that each individual movement lasted around the same time, and there was a clear beginning and end for those. This is, yeah, for us, when we're tracking measurement or the frequency, is so then it gives us a total look as to how much the behavior is decreasing over time and how much it is increasing, depending on how we're trying to increase or decrease it. So with that underway, let's do some practice. Yes, that's what I put in those little boxes. And for each one of these videos, you guys are gonna have to really hone in on each instance. We're gonna record each individual instance of the behavior in the concern. So let's do it. So they're gonna, this first one, it's a little easier, but then we're gonna ramp up a little bit in difficulty, but we're all doing this together. Everybody can see okay?
Hello, my name is Stephanie. I'm RBT applicant. This is my good friend Harry, who I'm going to be using after learning. Today we're going to do a video for frequency data collection. Basically, the video is going to consist of me reading to Harry, and Harry is his behavior is going to be shout outs. Shout outs could be screaming, yelling, interrupting, cursing, anything that's not pertaining to him focusing on this book and not please it. So let's get started. You ready?
Yes. You guys ready?
You ready? Kim has 5 pennies. She got 6 more pennies. How many does she have now? Rick found 8 seashells. Pam found 7 seashells. How many did they find in all? Matt has 6 cars. Rob has 9 cars. How many cars do they have in all? Pat has 7. Pat has 7. Her mother gave her 4 more. How many does she have in all?
Yes, I understand.
Ryan saw 7 planes.
Oh my God. All right. How many was that, guys? 7. 7? I counted 6, although there was that one at that one he said really close where there was the side. So yeah, either 6 or, yeah, I think it's 6. Yeah, there was 6 there. Good. Okay, let's try this one. Let's get the answer here. Okay, so this is us going to count how many objects are thrown by this individual. Yes, this will be a fun one. You guys ready?
This video, you will be taking data on frequency of how many times she throws the toys in a 3-minute span.
All right, how many was that?
17.
Yes, yes. I think we all
All
got
right, welcome back. Well, having a good.
Yeah, 17. Oh, now I hear those. Yeah, 17 instances of
Yeah, good comment.
well, there you go. I don't know what I did. Yeah, 17 discrete instances. Let's do one more. Now, this one is the most challenging one, so you guys better focus. So here you want to count the. Oh, I think I'll even explain it.
The test of selective attention. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball.
Be sure, yeah, look for the whites.
How many, Pat?
13.
I got 13.
You guys got 13? 15? Nobody said 14. Okay, so yeah, I think the official one is 15.
15.
Yes, 15.
Play it again.
Replay. Replay.
No, but close enough. Yes, yeah, you guys did great. Okay, well, there's more to this. There's more to this.
So did you count? The correct answer is 15 passes. But did you see the gorilla?
Did you guys see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
This video is from research by Dan.
When they originally did the study, about half of people who did this exact same test didn't see the gorilla.
Oh.
Yes, 50% of the participants did not see this gorilla, even though she was on the screen for quite a while. The chest. Yeah, that's fun. I mean, at the very least, but just curious, you guys are really honest. By raise of hands, how many of you didn't see the gorilla? Oh, you all saw it.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. So you guys saw the gorilla and you guys got the correct frequency count. Awesome. Okay, moving on. Now we're on duration. So instead of tracking each discrete instance of the behavior, we're now starting to look at the total time that the behavior lasted. Now, this is more useful when the target behavior can last for a varied amount of time. For instance, some individuals may engage for outbursts, and let's say it only lasts for 5-10 seconds. Other times it can last up to an hour. And if we're interested in increasing the duration or the amount of time that an individual is engaging in a particular skill, let's say it's attending to a group activity, then duration can help us recognize how much progress they have made in that as well. Yeah, and just like with frequency, we want to increase the time that an individual is engaging in a desired target behavior, and then to decrease the total time spent engaging in problem behavior. Okay, so I do have some practice examples for us. I think the best way to do this would to open up your phones to the stopwatch. Yeah, so each phone has something like this where you can pause and start the time. Let me know if you guys, for those who are able to do it, once you're ready to go. Yes, stopwatch. Or you can just mentally count the time too, although it's a little trickier. Okay, I'll get this loaded up. So here, I believe we are tracking the duration of this, this individual pushing. So we're targeting aggression here. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the following example, we will be collecting duration data. The topography of the behavior will be pushing. So here we go.
Okay, let's get it happening.
All right. How long was that, guys?
18.
20 seconds? That's what I got. 20 seconds. 19, but that's, yeah, in that ballpark. Good. Yeah, 20 seconds, 19 seconds. Okay, let's try this one. Let's see. I think this one, this is the amount of time that she's engaging in off-task behavior. So right now, let's just focus on when she picks up the bottle and kind of messes around with it. So in this instance, I think we're gonna have to pause the stopwatch and resume it again when she picks up the bottle. So the onset is when she picks it up, offset is when she places it down. That's right.
Yeah, pure market.
Such an interesting bottle. I'll scroll this thing. Okay, how long was that?
Like a minute 33.
2 minutes.
Was that
Like a minute 33.
minute 33?
2 minutes.
3 minutes? Anybody else got anything different? Yeah, good. Yeah, about a minute 30. I got about a minute 39. Yeah, so let's just say, yeah, about a minute 30, all of it together.
Wait, you mean, was that just her writing and putting the pencil down, or both her putting down the pencil and putting down the water bottle? Is that
We're
kind of
tracking
two
the
different?
total duration of the water bottle.
Oh,
Her picking up the water bottle.
never mind. I did the pencil too.
Oh, no. It was just the water bottle, just to make it easier.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah, but it was about a minute and 30 seconds that she was holding and messing around with the water bottle. Yeah, sorry if I didn't make that more explicit.
My fault.
Always good. Okay, yeah, and then we can also look at rate. Rate is essentially when you divide the frequency to a certain duration. And we do this because if we are limited to different amount of times we're able to spend observing the individual or being with the clients, then we want to be able to note that. That way it is the same across each subsequent session. So for instance, yeah, this example, if 5 hits happen in an hour session, that is a lot more concerning than if it were to happen in 8 hours. And in both instances, we could say that the rate of the behavior happening, because it would be different because we're comparing apples and oranges at that point. Yeah, so if a client has 6 instances of property disruption over 3 hours, we will then say it is 2 per hour. Let's say they had 8 in 4 hours, same thing, 2 per hour. That way we can identify the more precise frequency of the behavior happening within a standardized measurement of time. We can practice this some other time. I couldn't find any good rate videos. Okay. I think this is the second to last one, latency. Latency is when we measure the time between the instructor or the SD to when the individual begins responding. This is best suited for when we want to identify the amount of time it takes for somebody to follow the instruction. We want to be able to decrease that latency or that lag that it takes them to act, so then we can reinforce it. So for instance, if you say, oh, it's time to go to the van, you start the timer and the client gets up about 45 seconds later, then we would say the latency is 45 seconds. So you can think of latency as duration, but the duration we're interested in is the amount of time between the instruction and when the client follows the instruction. So let's try it out.
And
And bust out the stopwatch. Be sure to reset it because if you don't, you're just going to add up to the time from the last one. Everybody ready? Okay.
this video, you'll be taking data on latency of returning a greeting. Come in. Hello.
Okay. How long did it take him? What was? I heard 37?
36.
36. Yes, yeah, that's about right. I also got 37. Man, imagine having to wait 37 seconds to wait for somebody to tell you hi back. Okay. Then we have another one.
Hey, so
Let's not do this one. I'll look for some better ones for us to practice. So with the time we have left, let's get to this one. Okay. The last form of continuous measurement is inter-response time. So this is similar to latency, except we're tracking the time between the same behaviors happening consecutively. Consecutive instances of the same behavior. And I believe I have some examples in the following slides. So an example of this would be if we're measuring the amount of time that bits of food are being eaten, we want to be able to slow that down. So we want to be able to increase the time in between when the client takes subsequent bites. There was one client in one of the care homes, and whenever he would have his dinner, it would be almost as though he was in a food eating competition. He would just go so quickly. You ask, no, slow down, you're gonna choke. So in those instances, if it persisted, then that's where we want to be able to measure the inter-response time to increase that. And then same thing if we want something to be sped up. Okay, last set of practice runs. Okay, same things. We're gonna bust out the stopwatch, reset it, get rid of the 36 or 37 seconds. And now we're gonna try this one.
This is a demonstration of the response time in AD and reducing. We started with
So here we're gonna measure the time between her clapping her hands.
Good job.
Oh, he gave us the answer. Oh. Yeah, it was 3 seconds.
Tap 10.
So now the timer starts. That's all.
Switch.
Always gotta give the good job high five. Yeah, so as you see, as soon as she began the behavior and was anticipating the following instance, that's when he started the timer and then stopped it once the subsequent behavior ended. One more. Hopefully this one doesn't give us the answers. Okay, so here we're gonna measure the time in between of her picking up and grabbing her cell phone. So this is similar to the water bottle example, except we're doing the inverse. Instead of the total amount of time she's holding it, we're doing it when she sets it down and when she picks it back up. So we gotta get those stopwatches reset. Yeah, we could just do it right there. How long was that? I got about 24 seconds. You guys got about the same? 30?
Just to clarify, so would it be from when she first picked up her phone to when she picks it up again, or when she puts it down?
When she
Where
puts it down,
up?
when she puts it down.
Okay, so that's about 20
Yes, okay, yeah.
because she was playing on her phone for like 15.
Yeah, yeah. She goes, okay, I'll look for better examples for next time. Yes. The point is when one behavior, the time that passes for when the behavior starts and then when it stops. But again, I can identify some more discrete examples of that so we can practice them a little bit better. Okay. So we'll do a little bit more practice with this. I think tomorrow we'll have some time to do it after we talk about the discontinuous measurements. Any questions of what we talked about so far? Yes. Okay.
Can the RT be used as independent
The inter response time? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because if we're interested in seeing the behavior change, whether or not it's to increase it or decrease it, yeah, that could be the variable we introduce to manipulate. And then the dependent variable would be the duration of the behaviors or that space in between. That makes sense? Yeah. Great question. Yeah. Anything else, guys? I promise there won't be any gorillas next time. Yeah, well, that's it then. Yeah, we can end here. You guys have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
Yes.